Well, good afternoon everyone, welcome to another podcast. It's a strange old piece of weather at the minute. It's kind of black and raining, but then sunny, but then there's a cold wind, but then it's warm. Really should be just getting to the end of what should have been a peak season in terms of Mayfly and things like that, and I have to be honest, I've had a really poor year. I think this is my third attempt at coming out and doing a dry fly Mayfly podcast, and the previous two times I have not even seen a fish rise. It's been that difficult. It's been a patchy season, but I'm up walking through the meadows just looking at the river. It's a beautiful, I think, river looks in great condition. It's a lovely level. There's the odd mayfly floating around, but I've not seen a fish rise yet again. But I have one mission today. I'm not going to abandon the podcast. I'm just going to try to get a fish on a dry mayfly. So I'm up walking up the path that the keeper's mown by the side of the river, and the birds are tweeting, the buttercups are out, the cow parsley is lining the hedgerows. We just don't have the fish. The fish are there, but they're just not wanting to rise. I've been out doing some tuition this morning, not seeing a bean, and then the guys put nymphs on and the last hour and connected with about 6 fish. So there's fish are there and they're feeding, but they just don't seem to want to break surface. So I'm going to prospect. It's a lovely river, this, and we've got the rushes bending over the river. It meanders through the meadows. There's lovely bits of rough water, and it's a real bendy, windy river, nice and clear, perfect dry fly water. But I'm going to fish, definitely going to prospect up through the turbulent water. I'm just coming up to a nice race here that's very thin, and I'm hoping I can put the fly over a fish that is only in 6 or 8 inches of water, and it doesn't have much distance to actually rise to the fly. So I'm going to go through these rushes, through a bed of mint, and then start casting this rough water here. But I'm sure there's been some good patches of fishing, but unfortunately every time I've come out so far I've been in a really poor patch. It's a little bit boggy there. I think we'll avoid that bit, and I don't want to get stuck. We'll keep walking down the path. We always say if you're fishing this river on a dry fly, you've not had a proper day unless your knees are mucky. And my knees are already mucky and I've only been at it 5 minutes, so doing all right. I'm just coming up to a couple of Canada geese with a flock of young, and unfortunately I'm going to push them into the river. Right, so before we just start casting willy-nilly, let's have a little look and see if anything wants to rise here. A mayfly just flying past my ear. I've got a long stretch of meadow. I can see the geese's heads poking out here and there watching me, and no doubt they're going to have a hiss or just jump into the best part of the pool and take 20 young through the run. Right, can't see anything rising, so I'm just going to prospect up and see if I can bring anything up. I can already feel it's probably going to be another tough afternoon for me, but I know for a fact if I jump on the other river and put a nymph on, I can probably have 6 or 12 fish, and that's great. But I do want to try and get one on a dry mayfly this year. I'll be honest, I've not had one on a dry mayfly so far this year, and normally I'll come down here and on a good day, easily between 10 and 20 fish on dries, no problem. Some big ones showing during mayfly time as well, but it's been very patchy for me. So there's no good fishing into this stuff. It's clear and shallow and there's no fish there. I'm going to put some longer cast out, nice even flow, so I don't have to worry about drag or mends and things like that. I can just let that fly come down under the trees over the far side. I'm not expecting too much in this. Oh, there's a rise under the tree there, unless it was a duck. I'm not expecting too much in this slacker water, unless I can cover stuff I see rising. I'd expect them more in the quicker stuff. I work my way up the meadow here. There's a big tree squeezing the river in a little bit. It's not the widest river here anyway, but it squeezes it into, there's a gap here of only 10 foot, and there's now some faster water which I really want to prospect and just see if I can get anything to come up in this. Gear I've got today is the 9 foot for a 5 weight Sage R8, which I often fish Mayfly time. Just got the power here to deliver a big bushy dry into any wind or any conditions, any distance I need to. I'm never going to be struggling with this rod, so I've got that with the Rio Gold in a 5 weight, and then I've got the Supple Flex tapered leader down to I think it's 3x tippet I've gotten, so they're quite thick stuff. The reason being is the big Mayfly, which is the hairwing Mayfly I have on. Anything less in terms of tippet, and you maybe start to encounter like that horrible twist up, and you'll get a bird's nest of twist, and that's infuriating. So that's the setup. The rain is spitting but holding off. I'm into the quicker water, and I think I saw a fish rise or heard a fish rise and a few ripples under the tree there. So at least one fish is showed, which is more than I can say for this morning when there was nout. I can smell that mint under my feet, and again there's 2 or 3 mayflies just starting to flutter above the river, and it all looks good. If that rain holds off, I still think we're in with a shot. It's just whether the fish are like, they don't seem to want to break cover. I think that's the best way I can explain it at the minute. They just don't seem to want to actually break the surface to hit the fly. The water temperature on the other river, albeit this morning, was 14 degrees, so that's pretty reasonable. The height's good, the cloud cover's there, everything's there. It's just they're not quite hitting the flies. I mean, there's not a hatch at the minute as such. There's not a big volume of insects, which would explain why the fish aren't rising, but you would still think here from experience, running this big hairwing down the rougher, thinner water, there's going to be a little brownie or a wild rainbow there that's just not going to be able to resist it, and is going to have a splash at it. But I've thought that the last couple of times coming out, and it's not been the case. Right, let's run it down this fast stuff a bit more. Bit of a bend here and a little bit of a gradient, and the water's just running off the gravels, and there's some nice fronds of weed that have developed that are just waving in the current. I mean, that cast is right under the tree, just where you'd expect to fish. And nout. I mean, I've not really been monitoring the hatches. I've just seen them as I've come out. It may be that we've not quite had the hatch this year. I mean, it can happen. Last year was a very dry year, if you remember. And sometimes, you know, there can be issues there the following year. Who knows? We're all great. We've got them huge lists of excuses. So let's start using them. Right, I'm just coming up to a very large overhanging willow, and I'm about fished as far as I can here. Again, just prospecting with the hair wing. I could put a little caddis on or something, but I've set myself a goal today to catch on dry mayfly, because I think, if I'm all honest, today's the last chance really. I'm going to have to do that. And the rain is just starting to come in now. And I might have to take shelter under a tree briefly, just let this pass through, I think. Right, let's get under a tree. I'm just on the edge of this, well, there's no thunder, but it's like black clouds. I'm just on the edge as it skirts past, so I'm just still walking and looking at the river. And I'm just getting a bit near the road now, and then the river will take a different course back down through the meadows. Just keeping an eye out again for anything rising. I was just thinking back then actually, because I had a couple of good days dry fly fishing earlier in the year. One was the first warm day of the year, and that was great, but that was all caddis and olives. And then I had a day about 3 weeks ago, and there was the first few mayfly, but again I had plenty on dries, but they were all on again caddis and I think some little emergers and things on a different river. So I haven't still risen a fish on the dry mayfly this year. I'm definitely going to stick with the challenge. Let's get around this corner. There's a nice pool here which has a bit of fast water running through it. Okay, so this pool here has one big tongue of current running down the very middle, and sometimes all you need to do is drop your fly over the bank, and just in the slack off that current there's sometimes a fish. That's what I'm going to start off doing. Not even really a cast, to be honest, just the smallest of little lobs, just a little tap out. I'll just work close in first, and then longer casts up into the actual tongue of current, and just see if there's anything there that wants to take a grab. So you might hear in the background a bit of a clicking sound. That's the sage click reel, and in recent years that's become my preferred reel for my general day-to-day river trout fishing. I don't really ever use a traditional drag anymore. I much prefer the clicker. It's just light, really easy to use. You don't need to mess about, and it's always pretty much seems to be set for what you need it for. And if it does spin a bit too quick with a big fish, you can just put your palm of your hand underneath it and slow the fish down. So it's such a simple, easy reel to use, and it makes a lovely sound as well. And we all like a good screaming reel when we've got a fish on. Right, I fished the near bank, nothing there, so I'm going to move up into the main tongue of current as it runs off the gravel and under the trees into this little pool. Again, normally here you'd run a mayfly time at this time of year just down where I am now, and there'd be something nipping out and grabbing it, you know, really aggressive little take, even from a small fish, but it's just dead. The rain's coming down quite a bit harder now, so I think I am going to have to find a bit of shelter. Oh yeah, here we go. Heavy stuff. Oh, it's absolutely hoofing it down. So the rain's just skirted past me, so I've been sat next to the hut. I never made it in because the rain stopped, but just watching here. It's a beautiful run of water coming in, and there's mayfly duns coming down the stream. There's some caddis hatching, and there's insect life on the surface, and there's nothing taking it. It's almost, well, if they're not taking the real thing, why the hell are they going to attempt to take a little bit of deer hair? But I'm going to have a cast anyway. Difficult cast this. It's a kind of roll cast, but you haven't got any room to get the rod behind you to form a D loop, and there's vegetation on the bank. It'll catch you as well, but it's normally a good spot. So I'm just walking through the woods at the minute, and normally through this woodland area it's not too quick, the river, so you can normally see the fish rising, and because of you've got the stuff hatching out of the water, there's a lot of beetles and bits and bobs falling off the trees, so there's normally fish rising there, and again I've not seen a single dimple. It's going to be a real challenge, this one. And in my head all I can think is move rivers, get your nymphing gear out, and you'll absolutely cream it today. But no, I'm not going to do it. Let's do the difficult thing instead. So this is a great pool, nice and open. It's got a good bit of movement coming down both sides. There's some slacks in the middle, and normally there's a good fish line across the far bank under a tree where the river flows next to it. But I'll just prospect up the near side first before I start putting any long lines up. That rain's just passed me by. It's still overcast, but go on, duck, move out the way. It's got one little duckling. I'm going to bring my line out and let you go past in peace, because you've only got one left, little thing. Come on, see if you can keep that one. So I always find it quite sad when you see a duck with just one duckling left. Mind you, at least that one will get plenty of food and attention. Right, near side, mayfly. Let's prospect up systematically. I heard a noise. Could have just been a bit of road current, but sounded a bit like a ploop. And now there's a cold wind coming across. That's not going to help, is it? Oh dear. And that's the other thing we had this year, is fish just rising once A lot of that. At least I've seen one fish rise. It's only a little one as well. I have just seen upstream another fish flick its tail up, so after I've untangled myself, I'm going to have a wander up and see if it will rise again. Can't quite tell which way this weather's going. It might just miss me, this lot. Yeah, I think it might, just on the edge of it really. Feels like a bit of a race against time today, as well as trying to get one on the Mayfly. I'm trying to get one before this really closes in. There's a cock pheasant here just sneaking past me, thinks I can't see it. And any minute now it's going to burst out and frighten me to death, even though I know it's there. Right, where did that fish rise? Probably over the far bank in the bubble stream, but... Right, I'm watching a Mayfly just emerging from the water. Nothing. I'm watching them hatch. Oh well, there's still time. I'm going to blame it on the pressure. Low pressure. Right. Well, the rain's passed and the sun's back out again. I'm hoping this will trigger a bit of a hatch, but just coming around the corner I can see the dark clouds are still there. It's such a contrast of colours today. We've got the green meadow with the sunlight on and the blue sky, and then literally at the end of the fields it's black and overcast and almost looks thundery. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if we do get a rumble of thunder, and then I will be down in this rod and calling it a day probably. It just feels like we're always on the edge of maybe having a bit of a hatch and maybe seeing a fish rise, and then it's not happening. Like I said, I've been just stood watching the river for a bit, and there's Mayfly about for sure, but there's nothing taking him, and we're way past that time where the fish aren't really ready for him yet. We're second week of June really now, so you know, tough. Let's have a little dabble in this fast run. I don't think that was a rumble of thunder. I think it's just a truck. I've got my ears out for that one. Oh, this is a great little pool, this. Oh, there's a fish risen. That's too far up for me to get to. Let's just have a quick prospect up. It's like I almost feel like I'm, I say, racing against time here. Seeing a fish rise again further up. I think I can actually get to it. I'm just going to cover here. So there's again a lot of turbulent fast water coming in, and just floating this hairwing down here is normally ripe for a fish. They'll grab it, they'll attack it. So I'm just going to prospect some casts out here before I try and cover that rise. So this is one of my favourite little runs here, and there's normally a rainbow. I wonder if that's what I saw flick up. So the river comes round a bend under a willow and then just opens up into this beautiful little glide. Come on. I just saw it flick up from downstream. Just in the bubble stream it was. There's a bubble stream running right down the middle of the river. I just saw it flick up. I might actually, if I don't get a rise on this, I might try a different fly. I don't often change flies. I tend to have confidence in the flies, but if there was loads of fish rising and I wasn't getting any interest, I'd change. But at the minute, I know this fly is a good prospecting fly. No, not interested. It's almost like it's not even taking. They're not even taking off the surface. They're taking just beneath. Just taking the nymphs and making a splash as they do. I'll try going upstream again. I just saw the smallest hint of a fish, and what it was is a fish. There was a mayfly hatching. I was watching it, and as it emerged, just after it has emerged, I could just see a little V where something had obviously come up to see it emerging and turned. But I just think that shows you they're not committing. There's fish there, and I'm sure if I had a nymph on, I'd be catching plenty of them, but they will not commit to breaking the surface. I'm watching another mayfly come down now. It's completely unmolested. They will not commit to breaking the surface with the fly. I'm stood watching a huge dun emerging, skating, skittering across the surface, and now it's coming down a food lane. Oh, first rise I've had all day. It came out the water, I saw that, it was a rainbow. It exploded at the mayfly, but I'm not 100% it actually took it. I didn't feel it when I struck, there's nothing there, so it could have just got excited by it. I might just, at least I've had a bit of action on the fly. I'm just going to sit for 2 minutes and just rest that. There's 3 or 4 big mayflies hatching in front of me. I'll keep an eye on them and just see that little fish comes up again. It wasn't a big one, but it was a nice aggressive slash at the fly. A temptation is when you've raised a fish to just go straight back at it, but actually sometimes, especially when it's like this and they're a bit cautious, sometimes just taking your fly out the water and giving it a couple of minutes, just let that fish settle again. I'll try and cover it. Be great if it comes up again, I can just mark where it is. I think it's probably moving about a bit. Definitely a wild rainbow. I saw the red stripe up it. The sun's out now, I can feel it on the back of my head, and it's really beating down. And that black cloud, the black cloud's gone, there's no more rain on the horizon, so there's always a possibility things could just change. It only takes a bit of a hatch of flies and get the fish excited. Okay, it's probably been a couple of minutes, so I'm going to get this fly out again. See if I can raise this fish again. I'm actually sat down here. There's a very convenient bench next to the river, and I can sit and fish. Come on. Well, I've tried and covered and recovered and watched, and apart from it rising once at a natural, or maybe twice, I can't remember, once it had a go at my fly, it's not showed again. So I think that's me done. I'm going to have to admit defeat, and I think I'm stood now just watching the river, and I think when you can see natural mayfly, the duns just struggling in the surface film and drifting down the river, and they're completely unmolested at this time of year, then it's always going to be an uphill battle. It's always going to be a struggle. And what have I had? Two kind of, I wouldn't even call them like proper risers. They were excitement at the fly, shall we say. I've had two slashes of tails at the fly, one little fish that's come and had a suck at it, and that's it. So it's been a tough day. It's been enjoyable though. It's been a nice challenge. It's been nice to try and just try and accomplish something. And you know, that's fly fishing. It just doesn't work out all the time, and you kind of got to enjoy these tough times, and you know, and enjoy that puzzle, enjoy trying to work it out, and then when it does come right, it's all even more rewarding. So it's been a lovely afternoon. I'm back to the road now, as you can probably hear. So thank you so much for listening. For our shop, please visit shop.peaksflyfishing.com, and if you're interested in guided days or tuition, it's www.peaksflyfishing.com. And please do, if you're ever in the South Yorkshire area, call into the Sheffield shop, come and say hello. It'd be lovely to see you. Until next time, thanks for listening. Bye bye.